Okay, today we're going to be working on a 2008 Hyundai Santa Fe, and it has a code of P0441, which is an evap emission insufficient purge. So what I'm going to show you how to do is to check the purge valve and how to replace it if needed. The purge valve itself is all the way down in the back of the engine, all the way down inside here. You can see this little vacuum hose right here. The purge valve is on the other end of it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to remove the air breather from the car. We're going to remove the air breather assembly, and then we're going to get down there. We're going to check the valve to see if it's working properly. It's a very common problem on this particular car. So let me grab some tools, and we're going to get started. Remove the air breather assembly. We're going to just take off all the clamps that hold it in place, and we'll just remove it from the car so we can get down here and get to the purge valve. Let me show you what I'm doing down here. This is the hose that I just disconnected right here. Down right inside here is a 10 millimeter clamp that holds the air filter assembly to the intake. I just opened up these clips right here so we can pull this out of the way, and I'm going to disconnect the mass airflow sensor from here. And the way you would do that is, let me just put this camera down and I'll show you. Okay, now that we got the air filter assembly out of the way, you can see this is the purge valve right down inside here. What we're going to do now is I'm going to actually disconnect the way I'm going to check it. We're going to disconnect the purge valve, not the end. I'll show you. I'm going to disconnect the purge valve. I'm going to leave the electrical connector connected. I'm going to leave this line connected over here. Where I'm going to disconnect it is where it goes up into the intake manifold, and then we're going to grab a vacuum pump and we're going to apply vacuum to it and see if it holds vacuum for one, and if it does hold vacuum, we're going to hit we're going to activate the purge valve and see if it opens, and if it opens and the vacuum drops off, we'll see how that goes. So let me disconnect that hose down in the back over there. It's kind of a tight spot back here, but I'm going to take it off right down over here where the hose has a clamp right there. I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to remove the purge valve up where it's a little bit more accessible. So let me do that, and you can watch what I'm doing. Okay, now that we have that hose disconnected from here, and as you can probably guess by now, it's a little bit difficult to get your hands down there. So what I had to do is I had to remove the hose from the power booster and just relocate it to the side for now. All right, we're going to leave the one hose still connected to the tank, heading back to the tank, and we'll take this one off that goes over to the intake manifold. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take a vacuum gauge, and we're going to apply vacuum on this side of the this line here. It's probably about 5/16 to 3/8. We're going to put a hose in there and apply vacuum. If it holds vacuum, the valve is good. If it doesn't hold vacuum, then the valve is no good. So let me get a vacuum hose on that, and I will get started. Make sure your hose is nice and tight onto the purge valve, and then we'll connect it up to our vacuum gauge, and when you pump it, it should hold vacuum. as you can see, is not holding vacuum. So we know that that purge valve is no good. It's supposed to hold like this. Whatever you pump it is supposed to hold, but in this case here, it's holding no vacuum at all. So we can actually stop. We don't need to go any further. We know that that purge valve is no good. So if that valve held the vacuum, then I would go inside and connect the scanner up to the computer, and I would manually open and close that valve to see if the valve was opening and closing. But in this case, it doesn't matter because the valve is no good. So let's get the new valve, and we'll put it on there, and we'll see how the new one functions. All right. You're going to disconnect this other electrical connector right here. We'll pull this connector off. The way you do that is you push down on this little tab right here, and then you pull it, and it comes right off, just like that. All right, and obviously, you know, just to take that other hose off right there, and that's it. We'll pull it off. We'll get the new valve, and we'll put it on there, and we'll see how that works. All right, so let me grab the new valve, and we'll come right back. Okay, just want to show you one more time how to check the old valve and see what the new valve is working like. As you remember, we connect it on the old valve, we pump it up, and it doesn't hold any vacuum whatsoever. Now with the replacement valve, this is the new valve that we have from the dealer, and I'll show you how the new valve is supposed to function. Connect it up, pump it up, and it holds the vacuum. So that's one way how you can tell if the original valve was good or if it was no good. In this case, we know it was definitely no good. So we're going to put this back on the car, and I'll show you how that goes. Okay, the new purge valve comes with a new hose too, so we're gonna use the new hose. What we're gonna do too is underneath here, when you took the valve off, you remember we had to put that piece inside over here, that little flat blade. So we're gonna put this on first, and after we get this on, then we're gonna push the hose back up in there. So let's get started on that, and we'll push it in there. And we'll put the other electrical connector on once we have it installed. All right, so we have the hose, the valve backing down in there where it belongs. Now we're going to reattach this hose that we previously took off onto here. And we're going to get a pair of pliers and just push it back to the clamp back on the hose where it belongs. And make sure your clamp is where it belongs. The electrical connector, we previously unplugged it from here. We're going to plug it right back in there where it came out. You'll hear it snap in. We're going to plug the electrical connector on, and you'll hear it lock in. And now we just have to put that clamp in the back on the hose down here. We have to slide this clamp here back up where it belongs, and we're going to reattach our vacuum hose that we took off the booster, like that. Make sure you put your clamp back down where you got it from there. Alright, now I'm just going to get down in here, and I'm going to move that clamp back where it belongs, and then we'll put this back on. So let me put that on and we'll get this job wrapped up. A lot of times you got to go by feel because you really can get your hand in there. I mean, get down there to see what you're doing, which is the case in this particular one. Spot there. All right, clamp is on where it belongs. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our air filter assembly back on. We're going to get this on here. We're going to get the air intake back onto the engine first before we do anything. We'll slide that back on there. You can see where it goes. Make sure your clamp is up at an angle where you can tighten it on without a problem. And let me put this back over here. We're going to tighten up the 10 millimeter clamp that is around the air intake. Make sure that's nice and tight because we have an airflow meter here. We don't want to wind up with any kind of leaks at all. Okay, that's nice and tight. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the air filter back in right down here where it belongs. Once it snaps in, then we just lock these on here, here, and here. We're going to reattach this cable where it was disconnected from right there. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to reattach this hose that we took off the air filter assembly. Pair of pliers to squeeze the hose clamp. Put it back where it came off. All right, so we're all set. All right, so we have the purge valve is reconnected to the engine. The purge valve is connected to the one that goes back to the canister. The electrical connector is plugged in on the purge valve. The air intake 10 millimeter band clamp is tight. This is reconnected. Airflow meter is connected, and all of the clamps on top of the filter are tightened on. That's it. We're all set. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to go inside and clear the code out of the computer, and then we're going to road test it and make sure it's good. All right, thanks for watching. Any concerns, any questions, drop me a line. I'll be more than happy to help you out with it. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.